What's up everyone, Art at GrimmSpeed, and I'm out here with our Shop 2020 WRX today, and we're going to be talking about some older parts, some freshly released parts, and a new part that we're going to be putting out probably by the time this video drops. Now with these cars, the FA20 is a very popular engine to upgrade, and a lot of people start with the intake system and the intake track as a whole. So we thought we'd cover all the bits and pieces from the top of the airbox, the piping down, the turbo inlet, the 3-port boost controller, and all the other extras that go around it. So let's start at the top and then make our way under the car. So if we're talking about the intake tract on these cars, it all starts up here with the airbox. Now you're probably familiar with this. This is the factory OEM box. Inside of it is a panel filter. Now the biggest issue with these is it's pretty restrictive. So once you start wanting to make more power, raise the boost, tune the car, then you're gonna have to get rid of this and make some upgrades. Now, the first thing you can start with that actually doesn't require tuning would be something like this. This is the GrimmSpeed Drycon panel filter. Essentially this flows more freely than OE by about 62%. So you're able to make more horsepower and torque without tuning just by switching that out. Now on this car, we also have the GrimmSpeed Stealth Box intake. Now that's an item that you do have to tune for. It lets up a lot more restriction than the OE or even the Drycon panel filter for the air to be able to make its way down into the engine. So let's look underneath and see where all of it goes and then break apart all the pieces that comprise the underside of the intake tract. All right, so underneath we can see where the GrimmSpeed Stealth Box intake pipe comes out and attaches to the turbo inlet. But before we start talking about any of that, I want to bring you to this table here and show you what the OEM setup looks like. Now I mentioned the airbox up top, we just have it mocked up here. I'm actually going to pull the panel filter out of it, get this kind of dirty restrictive filter out, put the Drycon filter in. Now, one of the great things, besides no tune needed, is the install. It's just as easy as putting it in the box and then aligning these little tabs on the bottom and pressing those in. So you're all done there. That's pretty much instant horsepower and torque without having to tune for it. The rest of the intake system is a series of pipes. There's 3 pieces. One of the newer products that you might have seen on our social media that we've put out just in the last couple of weeks are these Post-MAF hoses, which eliminate some of the problems of the OEM system. So let me pop these off and show you what they're all about and why we've improved on them. So one of the first things you'll notice between the OEM and the GrimmSpeed one is the aesthetic features. So it looks a lot better, and also comes in red and black silicone, so you can kind of mix and match the look that you want. But the biggest change is in the inside of these hoses. So ours are 4-ply silicone, and they're reinforced with a stainless steel band throughout the whole thing. So it's very rigid, but still nice and flexible like you would want for an engine that moves slightly when you accelerate. Now, the other big thing is we got rid of these corrugated sections. The reason that the OEM one needs these is for that flexibility. The silicone material in ours takes care of that, so we're able to have a perfectly smooth inside that's better than OE in terms of flow, and we're also able to taper these edges, so when this fits onto the middle pipe that you do retain, then it fits a lot better and promotes that better flow. All right, so really what we've done here is we've maximized the OEM intake system. With the filter, we're getting more flow. With these Post-MAF hoses, we're getting less restriction. And now we need to take a look at the final piece of the intake tract, which is the turbo inlet. Now right here, I have the OEM one. It is just a plastic piece. As you can see with this one, it's actually 2 pieces because they tend to break. And this is what brings in our new product. I want to introduce the GrimmSpeed cast aluminum turbo inlets for the FA20 engines. So over the last year especially, we've gotten a lot of requests to make a aftermarket inlet that isn't just plastic, that is a metal. So we've decided to do a cast aluminum version that's machined after the fact, and really for the biggest reason that's a lot stronger than OEM. As I showed you on this plastic factory inlet we have, they tend to crack around the bypass or blow-off valve. I've also seen cracking around the flange side. So a lot of people have issues with that and want to just switch out to something that's a lot more durable, and that's exactly what we've created here. This is cast aluminum, and it's also machined after the fact, so it's incredibly strong, pretty much indestructible and really the only inlet that you're gonna have to put on your car. Aside from that, it's got a nice smooth flow on it, and it's got all of the OEM brackets and fittings for a direct fit. And we have two different versions depending on if you have the earlier or later generation FA. You can see the differences in the OEM ones with this little bracket here and the pipe right there. Now, another really great part is because it's cast aluminum, if you go with a larger turbo, we've actually included a little bit more material around the flange for you to be able to port this out. Or if you wanted to get a little bit more unique with it, you can anodize or powder coat this piece. I know it's underneath the car, but it can still look really cool up here. So as you might have seen, we already have one installed. Why don't we zoom in on it, show you what it looks like, and then we'll talk about the last piece of the intake track puzzle. So there it is installed. It's actually a fairly easy install. Once you get underneath here, there's a couple of components that you have to put on top, obviously attached to the turbo, and then whether you have the aftermarket GrimmSpeed Stealth Box or your OEM airbox with or without the GrimmSpeed Post-MAF hoses, it all attaches really nicely. Kind of looks like factory, but obviously a big improvement over that OEM plastic that tends to crack. So we have one last item to talk about. It's actually one of our oldest but most popular items. You can see it right here. It's the 3-port boost controller, but since it's a little bit hidden, I'm gonna take you to the table and show you exactly why it's such an important upgrade. And then we'll kind of wrap all of this up, and hopefully you guys are swayed enough to start upgrading your car's intake system. So if you haven't seen a GrimmSpeed 3-port boost controller for an FA engine, this is what it looks like. It looks a little bit different than all of the other Subaru boost controllers, just because it has this proprietary bracket here. Now, this is something we've designed for you to be able to mount directly on the inlet. This is also a good time to chat about when you need to tune for all these upgrades and when you can get away without it. Now, you've all been familiar with the stage 1, 2, 3, and beyond on Subarus. There is another stage that we refer to as 0.5, and really that is the combination of the Drycon panel filter along with the Post-MAF hoses. Now, those are two items that you do not need to tune for, and you'll actually make some power and torque just by putting them on and letting up some of that restriction. The inlet falls into that category as well. You can just equip it, factory fit, everything hooks onto it, and you do not need to tune for it. You're just gonna get the benefits of having a more free-flowing and just a better designed item. Now, when you start getting into the 3-port boost controller and something like the Stealth Box intake that we have on this car, that's when we would upgrade into stage 1, and we would absolutely recommend tuning for that. And I also mentioned earlier on that those couple of items are some of the best bang for your buck upgrades that you can get. You bring it to the dyno tuner, they're able to equip them, tune the car up, raise the boost, and take advantage of that free-flowing air that you're getting into the engine. So, if you're interested in any of these parts, they're all on GrimmSpeed.com. You can hop on there. There's a lot more information on there than I can put into this video. And if you're looking at the brand new cast aluminum turbo inlet, that should be live on our website if this video is out and you guys are seeing it. So go check that out and decide for yourself which parts you want to upgrade. Some people like to keep their car stock for a little bit, then go into the items that you don't need to tune for. Some people go for it all. You can kind of choose what you want with your car. And if you need any help, reach out to support@grimmspeed.com or just give us a shout on either our phone or social media. Thanks for watching. See you guys.